Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Robin Jaskolka. I'm going to be doing the training today. It's 2 minutes after 3, so I think we should get started. Today's session is optimizing your acknowledgement process. Topics that we are going to cover today. The first one is where to review and create your acknowledgement codes, because all of this optimization is dependent on having the appropriate acknowledgement codes attached to your gift records. We're going to run the export. We're going to go into the gift module, do the gift acknowledgement export from the unposted gift tab so that we have a data file that we can use in which to build our individual templates based on the acknowledgement code. We are going to create the acknowledgement letters. We're going to test them. We're going to test them each individually to make sure that they're working one at a time. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a master letter that can be used to launch all of your different gift acknowledgement codes letters at the same time. So you won't actually have to export each acknowledgement code at a time. All right. Okay, so you should all be able to see my donor and gift management module. So welcome for all of those of you that are here today. Thank you very much for attending. Kind of exciting to be able to be doing FIMS training class, live FIMS training classes again. So we're going to talk about optimizing your gift acknowledgement process today. And the first thing that I want to let you know is that what the setup is that I'm going to be using to demonstrate this process. So you'll know and have an idea how it works from here. I have FIMS installed on my workstation. So it's an on-premise version of FIMS. Microsoft Word is on my workstation as well. And everything is going to be everything's going to be done from here. So that gives you some idea of how this is working on my end. All right, before you can create a gift acknowledgement letter, you need to make sure that you have a data file available to do that. Also, I want to let everybody know, sorry, I meant to mention this earlier. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be happy to answer them as we're going along. So if you need anything, let me know. You need a data file in order to run this whole process. So what I have done here is in my unposted gift tab, I have, I think, 9 or 10 different unposted gifts that I'm going to use to populate my data file. I also, as I was doing this, I was thinking it'd be nice to know and make sure that I have all my acknowledgement codes on my unposted gifts. So I created a custom view that shows me both the acknowledgement code field and the batch field. So that's what I will be working with today. Now, just a little bit about building that file. I'm using the unposted gift tab to populate that data file, but if it would be helpful, like I think I have 7 or 8 different letters. You can also use your test and learn database if you want to create some gifts that maybe that has a different acknowledgement code for each of them. And that way, when you export the data, you have a sample of all of the acknowledgement codes that you might be using. So that would be another way. It might be easier to do it from your test and learn. That way you don't have to worry about doing anything to your current data in your live database. Another option that you have is if you want to export information from your gift history records, you can do that as well. So if I go up to reports and do gift history export, this is essentially the same look. This is the same export as what I'm using from the unposted gift tab. So all you would have to do here is just make sure that you are exporting you'd have to filter the batch that you're exporting because you probably don't want to export everything. So you can export from gift history export, you can export from the unposted gifts, or you could even doctor up a data file in your test and learn database and export from there. That way you have all the information you need when you're creating your individual acknowledgement letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my processes tab and I'm going to run my gift acknowledgement export. And I happen to have a saved report that I'm going to put in here, the parameters. It says saved report, but it's actually saving the parameters of the configuration of the data. So what I want to do is let you know here on this acknowledgement format tab, it says date of acknowledgement is today's date. You also have update acknowledgement date field. So what this is saying is, do you want to update that acknowledgement date field on the gift record? So if you're doing this from your unposted gifts, you probably always want to update that. That way the system knows in the record is marked with when exactly the gift letter, the thank you letter was sent. In my case, I'm saying never because I'm using the same set of data and I don't want to populate a date in there. Now on the send to tab, I'm sending this to my C drive. I created a folder called FIMS exports, and the gift.txt file is going to go to my FIMS exports folder. This gift.txt file, what I have seen just as kind of some information, what I've seen some folks do is they have different text file names. They've actually created a separate text file for each one of their thank you letters. With the method that I'm going to show you today, you're not going to have to do that. You're going to just be able to use the same gift.txt data file for all of your acknowledgements. That's kind of the beauty about what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go ahead and run my report. All right, so what this is telling me is it's unable to open my data file. And actually, I must have forgot to close something. So I'm kind of glad because you can see this. Essentially, what this is telling me is that I have a Word doc that is using that data file that's open. So because my gift.txt file is open, it can't populate or update that file. And this is the document that I have that's open. So let me close this. All right, let me run this again. And let me export this. So now that I closed that template that was linked to that gift.txt file, my data is exporting as it should. And it's telling me that I had 10 unposted gift records that were exported. And my export to my FIMS exports file is complete. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each of the individual thank you letters. So under file maintenance, I want to step back for just a second. Under file maintenance, under donor and gift code maintenance, there's a code table called acknowledgements. So these are the different acknowledgement codes for the different thank you letters that you need. You're going to also need to have a separate thank you template for each one of these acknowledgement codes. And what we recommend doing is naming the template the name of your code. So for example, blessings in a backpack, the code is BIAB. I have a template, my thank you template is BIAB.docx. So it's much easier in the long run. That way, you know exactly which acknowledgement code goes with which thank you template. And you can update in file maintenance, and in this code maintenance is where you would add them. You also have the ability here, this is kind of nice, there's an active column. If you've got an old code that you're not using any longer, if you mark it as active no, it's not going to be available from the drop down on the gift record. So somebody couldn't accidentally assign it to a gift record here, it would not show in the acknowledgement code drop down. And if you notice, there's both an active radio button and an inactive radio button. And by default, the active radio button is checked. So you're only going to see active records. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my, all right, let me make this bigger. So here's my FIMS exports folder. And within there, I have another folder called gift letter templates. So if you notice, I have several templates. Each one of them is named for the name of the code. So BIAB, DAF. There's two ways that you can create a template. So thank you template. One of them is to simply click on the new button. Let me, whoop, get my Word open here. So one way is to simply open Word, click on New, and start with a blank document. The first thing that you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to link this document to that gift.txt file that we just sent. Otherwise, you're not going to have access to those mail merge fields. So in order to do that, you're going to go to mailings and you're going to go to select recipients, and we're using an existing list. That gift.txt file is our existing list of gift records. So then I'm going to go down to my FIMS exports. And here is, if you look, here's my gift.txt file. This is the one that I just exported a couple minutes ago. So I'm going to either click once and click open, or I can double click on it and it will link it to this blank template. So if you notice, I now have access to the insert merge field, whereas this tool button was grayed out earlier because it had no merge fields to access. So this is one way. So at this point, what you would do is insert your logo, put in the contents of your letters, and you would insert any merge fields that you needed for the letter. The second way, and I'm going to close this. The second way is to take an existing document that you have. So you might already have a Word document for a thank you letter that's not attached to the data file, but it can be easily converted into a template. The first thing that you're going to do is the same thing we just did with the blank one. I need to link this to my data file, which is an existing list. And I'm going to go to my FIMS exports and I'm going to double click on gift.txt. So now I have access to the merge fields for this particular letter. And what you'll do is, for example, the first line, I need a name. So if I go to insert merge field, I'm going to insert a name. I also need an address. So I'll put in address 1 and I need city, state, zip. So I will insert my city, state, zip. And I'll remove these fields that I had in here as a placeholder. Now I also I need the salutation. So I'll highlight my salutation and insert the salutation. Let's see if I need any other merge fields in here. So I could enter the gift amount if I wanted to say thanks for your generous contribution of. So I'm going to come into my letter, add this, and then let's see, gift amount. And then I'm also going to come down here. So this is my acknowledgement comment. So I'm going to just go back for 1 second. Now, from a comment, what pieces of information get exported? So the comment field on the gift tab gets exported. And then the comment field on the acknowledgement tab gets exported. So this one right here can be used to customize your thank you letters. So maybe there's something special you want to say to one person and none of the others. You could put that information into your acknowledgement comment field, and that could be inserted into the letter. So if there's something specific for that gift, it'll insert that data into the letter. If not, there won't be anything in that space. So it's kind of a nice way to customize the thank you letter and actually have that information in the database, part of the permanent record, and not have to literally go in and customize each separate letter. So that's what I have right here. I'm going to insert the field for acknowledgement comment, and that's ACK comment. Okay. So at this point, I think this letter is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. So this letter is frd.docx. The next thing that I want to do is I want to test this and make sure that data is actually going to merge into here appropriately. It may not be the correct data. It might not be data from my FRD gift, but I want to make sure that the data is going to merge. So I can go to preview results. Some days this works, some days this does not work. Today, I don't think it's going to work. All right, so I'm going to go to, instead, I'm going to go to finish and merge. I'm going to edit individual documents, and I'm going to say just merge to a new document, the current record. So this will let me know. So this has, the data has merged in, and I know that this particular template is working. If you have 5 different gift acknowledgement codes, you'll have 5 different gift acknowledgement templates. You're going to need to go through and create each one of those templates and make sure that the merge process is working for each of them individually. Because if it doesn't work on a case one record at a time, one document at a time, it's definitely not going to merge from the master gift letter, which we're going to see in just a little bit. So I'm going to stop for a second. Does anybody have any questions so far? Y'all are quiet. I have a question. How are you currently doing your gift acknowledgement letters? Are you exporting one acknowledgement code at a time? Are you just manually creating the letters one at a time? How are you currently doing this process? Somebody want to volunteer?
Feel free to put your answers in the chat or unmute yourself if you don't feel like typing. You can either ask the questions directly to Robin or answer your questions at any point via chat or via meeting.
Yes, don't hesitate. All right, so we will keep going. Okay,
It
so
looks like we have some enters in the chat. Lisa
oops.
says they manually enter into their templates, while Diane, they have a master gift letter and run multiple acknowledgement codes all at once.
Awesome. So you're ahead of the game. That's awesome to hear. Okay. So then let's keep moving. Okay, so at this point, we have gone through all of our letters. They're all working. I'm going to close this one. And I'm just going to make sure I have saved my template. So now I have my FRD letter is the only one that I did not have linked to a data file with merge fields. So now all of the thank you templates are set up and they actually all merge. So I know that's good. All right, so the next thing, what we're doing is we're going to use a feature in Microsoft Word called if then else. It's a rule. Essentially, what it's used for is to give you the ability to customize your letters. So you could use the if then else feature to insert paragraphs or depending on, something in the gift record itself, you can insert a dollar amount or text or um, something else that you might need. Another piece of that if then else, in addition to just kind of putting conditional merging into your letter, you can also say if the gift acknowledgement code is GEN for general, here's the location of your gen.docx. Open that and merge the contents of this gift record into that letter. I kind of think a little bit of it's almost like a traffic cop who's standing out there directing traffic to go to the appropriate places. That's essentially kind of what this master gift letter does. It looks at what the acknowledgement code is and it sends that data to the appropriate thank you letter for you so that you don't have to manually export each one of those acknowledgement codes from FIMS or even just manually populate the information in a Word doc. So we're going to see that in just a second. Now, if you notice here, I have a little window that has popped up and it says opening this document will run the following SQL command. So this is going to data from my database, which is my data file, my gift.txt will be placed in the document. Do I want to continue? So this is a feature that was added to Microsoft Word when Office XP was introduced. Actually, it was Service Pack 3. And basically what it's saying is if you say yes here, you are actually letting code run on your computer. And the code is that it's taking that data and it's populating into each one of those templates. If you say no, it's not going to populate. It's not going to do what you want it to do. So this is a safety feature. This is not going away. This is not going away. You will have to okay this. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes here. All right. So this is my master gift letter that I have previously set up. And if you look at what's highlighted in yellow, you're going to have one of these for each one of your different gift acknowledgement codes. So for example, the first one says, if the merge field with the acknowledgement code equals BIAB, then go to my C drive, look in the FIMS exports folder, the gift template, letter templates, and open the biab.docx and merge the information in there. So we need to have one of these for each of the different thank you letter codes or the gift acknowledgement codes that we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the process because my FRD is not in here. That's just a new letter that I have added. So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to go to mailings And up here, there's a little option for rules. So I'm going to click on rules and you have if then else. Now, just as an FYI, all of these steps that I'm going through are included in the handout so that you should just be able to sit down and do the same thing in your system. All of the steps are documented for you. So I'm going to click on if then else. And essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to find the field for acknowledgement code. So if the acknowledgement code is equal to FRD, which is the letter we just did, it says insert this text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5 X's here just as a placeholder because we're going to need to insert into this where the X's are. So I'm going to say, okay. So if you notice here, it's saying if merge field acknowledgement code equals FRD, and then here are my X's where I'm going to do part 2. So part 2 of this is I'm going to go to insert, my insert menu item. I'm going to go to quick parts, and I'm going to insert a field. The field that we're going to use is called include text. So up here under field properties, it's asking me for the file name or the URL. So I can get that. All right, so this is the actual path. So what I just did is I just clicked somewhere in this blank space to the right of my path so that I could get the actual path because I can copy this, much easier to copy it. I hit Control C to copy. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit Control V to paste it. Now I'm going to put in my backslash because I still need the name of my document. And the name of my document, this is why it's nice to have them very short names and the name of the code because I just had to type in frd.docx. Down here on the right, I'm going to uncheck the box that says preserve formatting. And then I'm going to say, okay. And this is a security notice. So I'm going to say yes to this as well. And then here's my other little message asking if it's okay. So here is what I just added. Now I do need to remove my X's because the X's were just the placeholder so that I would know where to put in this include text piece. So right here is what we just added, just the bottom part. Now, the nice thing about this is once you have added one of these, you don't have to go through this 10 times or 11 times, as many times as you have acknowledgement codes. What you can do is you can literally just copy this text right here. And you can go to the very end and paste it in. So you could then just come in here and change your acknowledgement code to whatever code you need, and then change your letter as well. So once you've created one of these manually and got your information in here, you can then go through and copy and paste as many times as you needed. Now, if for some reason you are looking at this and it doesn't quite look right, I just hit my Alt F9 key. So Alt and then F9, what that does is it toggles the field codes. You want to make sure that you can see your field codes. So if it looks something like this and not like what you're thinking it should look like, then if you hit Alt F9, you should actually be able to see the field codes and it will show you all the information. Make sure that there's no spaces in between each of these pieces because it won't run. So you're going to put your cursor right after the very last piece and paste in right there. All right, so I'm going to save this. Now, the next test that we need to do in this process is make sure that when I merge from this master gift template, that all of my letters merge appropriately. So in order to test this, I'm going to go to mailings. I'm going to go to finish and merge, edit individual documents, and I'm going to merge all of them. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Now, this is why it is good to test and make sure that each of your individual letters is able to merge before doing this test, because you might have to okay through a bunch of error messages if it doesn't. So I'm going to say okay. And it's giving me my security message, and I'm saying yes. And I'm going to have to say yes each time because it's opening different letters, which I know is annoying, but okay. So this should have merged in all of the information from my different gift records into my letters. So you can see the name and address that I inserted into the letters along with my salutation. And in my FIMS system, my default salutation, which is what's getting populated in here, is informal individual. And then let me see what else I have here to show you something different. Actually looking for a letter with the acknowledgement comment. Okay, so this letter, which happens to be SCH, this is information from the acknowledgement comment field. So that defaulted in, it's spaced the way it was supposed to, but the other gifts that didn't have an acknowledgement comment, let me just scroll down, are populating. Oh, my spacing is off. So this one, this DAF template did not have an acknowledgement comment. So it just squished everything up to the way it was supposed to and didn't leave a big blank space for that acknowledgement comment. So each one of these, it pertains to the acknowledgement code that was on the gift record. Now this one right here, this one is a stock template. So I happen to have FieldMaker in my FIMS database, and these are custom fields that I created and linked to my gift. So when I put in this gift into the system, I put in Facebook stock 200 shares at value of $250. So these merge fields are pulling from FieldMaker, and they're pulling from the gift record. All right, so that is awesome. Those are working fine. The next piece, does anybody have any questions about this? The fact that we have our individual templates, we have our master gift letter that's saved, and we know that merges. Everything is working good at this point. So right now I have a single Word document with all 10 of my thank you letters. All right. The next piece that we're going to look at, so there are macros in Word, FIMS macro, there's a FIMS macro that's in Word that allows you to split these individual letters out from this single Word document where they're currently sitting. So right now they're all part of one merge document. We're going to add the next piece of this to that master template that allows you to split these into individual thank you letters and put them either into the profile folder or put them into the fun folder as either a Word doc or a PDF file. So that's the next step. So I'm going to close this because this is our merge. And I'm gonna minimize. Actually, I'm gonna keep this open. All right. So if you notice at the top of this document right here, there's a header piece and there's a bottom piece. These are the pieces of information that the macro uses to split these into individual GIFs. So let me show you. I have installed the macros. Now, you're going to have to install the macros if there's more than one person doing the thank you letters and needs to split them into the folders. You're each going to have to install the macros into your version of Word. And there's a couple different ways that you can do that. From within FIMS, you have the ability under file maintenance. Let me see, tools, where are we? Update FIMS macros, there it is. If you've got an on-premise version of FIMS, you can use this update FIMS macros. And what it should do for you here is when you're in Microsoft Word and you go to view macros, this is what you should see. So there's different macros that are in here. We're really only looking at 4 today that have to do with the gift acknowledgement letters. So these should be available to you. If you have FIMS hosted on Azure, or if this update FIMS macros for on-premise customers does not work, there is in the handout that you're getting today, there's a link to a knowledge base article that tells you how to 2 alternate methods for getting the macros to work. If anybody needs any help with that, if that's something that you're trying, it's not working, certainly we're more than happy to help out. So just put in a support case into the portal and we'll help you. But I did put a link to the knowledge base article, at least so you could see what the alternate methods are. All right, so we need to add this header in this footer to our master gift letter in order to split these out. So what I have done is in the handout, I've actually put this text right here in the handout so you can copy and paste it right into this master merge template. Same thing with the bottom. Now, sometimes the issue when you copy and paste like that, these are actually merge fields like explore directory, fund one, alpha sort field, ID code. And sometimes when you copy and paste into another document like this, they're not actual, they don't show up as actual merge fields. So in order for you to be able to use this, what you need to do if you have to replace them is you've got to highlight the merge field itself, go up to mailings and insert the merge field. So in this case, that one was explore dir. So I need to find the merge field for explore dir. So what I'm doing, and I probably went right by it. What you are doing actually is inserting a merge field just like you did when you created your individual letters. Ah, there it is, explore dir. So I would just insert this like a regular merge field, and then this will make my header information work. If it's not working, you're going to have to probably do all of the merge fields that are here. But what I also did is I included a link to the knowledge base article with the information basically that I just said. That you're going to need to highlight that specific merge field and insert it from the insert merge field. All right, so we have our header, we have the bottom, and that's all we need. So let's go ahead and finish and merge these again. And All right. So now that these are all merged, what we're going to do is we're going to go view macros and view macros again. So here I have save acknowledgements. I have save acknowledgements fund. I have save acknowledgements PDF, and I should have a save acknowledgements fund PDF. So I'm just going to do the save acknowledgements. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a new Word document separate from this one merged template that we're looking at. And it's going to put it into the folder for the profiles. So I'm going to click on run. And this is zooming through, and it is creating a Word document for each one of my thank you letters. All right. So let's go into FIMS. Let's find one of these. Lila Buchanan. Let me go into my profile module. Let's find Lila Buchanan's profile. And up here on the profile folder, I'm going to click here. And here is my thank you letter that I just split out from the others. My pagination is off, so apologize, but and that was taking this and putting them into the profile folder. And like I say, you could put them into the fund folder. You could use the macro for the PDF into the profile folder, or the macro to put the PDF into the fund folder. Now, in order to use these profile or fund folders, they need to be set up in your system. And in order to set those up, from Tools, System Utilities, System Options, there's two places. One of them is for funds. And if you look on the right-hand side here, it says Explore Directory. So I have it already set up on my C drive that says I have a funds folder in my MPO folder. Now, the cool thing is when the macro runs and it splits out that separate letter, if there isn't currently a profile or fund folder for that particular donor thank you letter, it'll create one as part of the macro. And then the other one is under profiles and explore directory. So that's also in my C drive. I have an MPO folder, and within that there's a folder for both profiles and funds. So that needs to be set up. Those paths need to be established. Those folders have to be there before you can actually use the macros. And in the handout, there is information, basically the information that I was just saying that needed to be set up first. All right. Any questions about anything that we've done so far? All right. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to talk about one more thing here. So if you notice, this information up here, if you don't want to see this, some people like to hide that header information and footer information, but if you noticed, it didn't display anyway on the thank you letter to Lila Buchanan. That wasn't visible. The only thing that was visible is my FRD template, which was for me, so I would know which templates I had. So you don't technically need to hide this text here if you don't want to, but you could highlight it all, right click and go to font if you wanted to hide it, and hidden. Under the font tab is where you can actually hide that if you would like to. And if that doesn't work, some people, because sometimes that doesn't work in Word, you can always just change the color of the text to white, and then it's not visible either. All right, so I'm going to close this. I have one more thing I want to show you. So for those of you that have on-premise FIMS, you do have the ability to auto launch when you export the data. And let me just kind of talk about this for a second. So here I am back in my gift acknowledgements export, and I have a saved report out here for this. If I look at my send to tab, what I have here is a field called auto launch document. So what's going to happen is I can export the data and I can auto launch the information from FIMS. So it's looking for my master gift letter. It's going to open that and merge for me. For those of you that have Azure, this is not going to work for you, but from a realistic perspective, there's really not much more work that you have to do, because when you export your data files, you just open the master gift template and merge. A couple clicks and all of the gift letters are merged. Here, when I run this, it's not going to just auto launch. I do have to click this button here that says auto launch only. And somewhere around here, I know I have there it is. I need to, okay. So I still need to say yes to these, even though I'm auto launching. And realistically, it's about the same number of clicks. So you've got your document with all of your individual letters, but they live in one Word document. So from here, you would then go on to do your view macros and run whichever macro you wanted to run. So just as kind of a review, what we've done today, we've looked at where the gift acknowledgement code table is in FIMS, because that's kind of your first stop. Your first stop is really to review what is in this code table and make sure that it ties to what you, different types of thank you letters that you have. So once that's done, you can code your actual gift records. And then the next thing you're going to want to do in the process of getting this set up is to export data for a data file. And you can do that from your unposted gifts and your live. You could export that data from gift history, or you could create some test gifts in the test and learn database and export from there to do that as well. So there's 3 different ways you can actually get that data file out of the system. The next thing that we had to do was make sure that all of our thank you letters for the specific gift acknowledgement codes were completed appropriately, were linked to the data file, and had all of the merge fields that we needed. The text spelling was good, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that you can merge them. So that's the second piece. The piece after that is creating that master merge template and adding in the if then else for all of those different acknowledgement codes. And the first one you have to add in, you have to go through the process by adding the rule and the quick parts. But from there, you can actually copy that and then paste them in and just make a minor change in your master gift template change out for your codes. And then at that point, you need to add in your header and footer so that if you choose to, you can separate your thank you letters into individual documents. and this does not look like what I want it to. So if I hit Alt F9, I can now see all of my field codes, toggle my field codes on so I can see this. I can see my header and my footer. So all that information is here. And if you have an on-premise version of FIMS, the last thing that you have the ability to do is set up your master gift letter to auto launch. And you would do that from the Send To tab. So you've got your file name for where the data is going, and then you can browse to where that master gift letter template is. All right, any questions about any of this stuff? All of this is covered, FYI. All of this information is covered in the handout, along with links to additional knowledge base articles that have this information that's helpful. I also put in some help information depending on if you run into any issues with your master gift letter, creating your master gift letter. Now, is everybody using the macros in FIMS, or is that something that you're going to need to install? Because there are other macros besides the ones for the gift acknowledgement letters.
We have not used the macros.
Okay. All right. So yes, there are, depending on how you're doing your fund statements, there's right flush macros for your fund statements. There's several others out there as well. So yes, those would be good to have.
So if you're putting the gift receipt letter in the FIMS folder with the macro, but then the donors, do they then have access to that on Donor Central?
That's a really great question. So you could actually upload those thank you letters to Donor Central. There's a process for that in FIMS. Yes. Now, by putting them into the profile folders or the fund folders that's accessible to you, those are only accessible to staff. So what you'd still need to do if you're mailing them the letters, you'd still have to print them out and mail them.
Right.
And if you're going to, there's another thing there with the signature. So it all depends when you break them out into individual documents. Do you want to have a signature on them or not? So that's also something to think about. Or is somebody manually signing them? And who asked me about the gift letters on Donor Central? Because I would be happy to share some more information about that.
I believe that was Diane.
Diane from
Omaha Community Foundation, or Melissa, she just put that in the chat too, so.
Perfect. All right. Does anybody?
Oh, yeah, Melissa also asked something similar with, is there a procedure available that walks through how to upload to Donor Central? But yeah, you can send those resources, Robin, to them. Unless you have
Okay.
time to open up that knowledge base article now. If not, we can send that to them in a follow-up.
Absolutely. And both of you are from Omaha? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, there's info. Sorry about that.
Yes, they both are.
Perfect. Yes, I will get you that information on how to do that. And if you need any help, you can certainly put in a support case and we'll be happy to help. All right. How about, I'm kind of curious. I'm always interested to hear what people are doing. What types of different thank you letters do you have? I know there's some very specific ones, like if you have a gift that's in memory of somebody, the wording is totally different than if you have a stock gift letter. But I'm kind of curious how many letters, how many different actual types of thank you letters you might have.
Which is probably way too many, but
How
we have
how
like
many do you have?
somewhere between 30 and 40, because like
Holy
we have,
smokes.
we have first time cash, we have first time stock, we have two different types of funds here. We have the donor advised or the component funds, and we have what's called our charitable checkbooks. So we have ones for those and ones, so they all have to be separate. So those are all different. Those are two different tax ID numbers then that have to be in the for the
Oh,
gift receipt. So
okay.
yeah, a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I don't normally, I probably would say like 10 to 15 is kind of an average. Um, does anybody have something different or?
In the chat, Melissa also shared that Omaha Community Foundation, they have a lot of support orgs and each need different tax IDs at the bottom of the letter. And
Okay.
then Lisa just shared that they have less than 10.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Yeah, that would make sense. The support orgs, that why you've got the larger number of letters. That totally makes sense. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for me or anything I've covered, or maybe I didn't cover something that you had a question about? All right. Well, everybody's going to get a copy of the recording along with the copy of the documentation. And I want to thank everybody for joining. This has been a great session. So have a great afternoon, everybody.